Now we're talking. Everything works. We're all plugged in.
It's all downhill from there.
Right? Can't blame the equipment because everything else is rolling. The mic is good. The lights are on. The beautiful new backdrop is installed.
Yes. Let me see if I can. I had to sneak into a high school field.
Yeah, it looks good.
To do the All-Star broadcast today.
Field of dreams.
Yeah, you can hear the guard dog barking.
Right. That's probably my dog. Or maybe yours.
It's definitely mine. Sorry if you guys can pick that up. My dog. Now my light just. Give me a second.
Yeah, Brett will get that. That's what we get when we upgrade. But we're happy you're with us at the Eternal Baseball Podcast. This is our 14th. And it's our All-Star game. So we're really excited about that. And if you're thinking it's a little early for the All-Star game in May, that is not by mistake. When we were working on putting together how we wanted to launch Eternal Baseball, we wanted to make sure that we got rolling a little ahead of the Major League Baseball calendar because we're all MLB fans, right? So we've never thought that Eternal Baseball would replace what's going on in real baseball in your life. We are a supplement. We are an augment. But back in February when we kicked off, we had, we don't need spring training. These guys are good to go. Some of them are 100 years old, might not get through spring training. So we got our season kicked off in early February, knowing that we would hit our All-Star break before MLB hits their All-Star break. And we intentionally didn't include a break in our schedule like MLB does because we thought it was important to get through the regular season, quickly, not faster than possible, right? Not multiple games on a day, or here's what happened this week in a day and next week the following day, because we like the cadence of the marathon of real baseball. But we wanted to get through it a little quicker because we wanted to have our season wrap up and our playoffs start and end before the MLB playoffs start. So you'll get done with our World Series and then we'll sit back just like all the other baseball fans and enjoy the real MLB postseason. But then when the World Series ends and like 3 days later, you get that baseball itch of how, when are the owners meetings? When are free agents going to sign? Like, when do I get an inkling of the return of baseball? That's when we'll be back with our second season. So we'll be filling a gap this fall and winter. And with a potential work stoppage on the horizon, which feels like it feels like it's going to happen, and it won't feel that problematic when it's the off season. But if you're a baseball fan, these things can drag. So if there's some sort of delay to next season, there won't be for us. So we'll always have live baseball, as live as it gets for you here at Eternal Baseball. So
we're on good terms with the management. So
right, yeah, right. Man, the only two negotiators have been negotiating since they were 4. So and I think we always shared pretty nicely. So.
Yeah, there's some tough baseball card negotiations.
Maybe a little, but I mean, we're former ICWF tag team champions, and nobody driving a wedge through that. So let's see. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here, so we can take a look at our weekly tracker. Here we go.
There we go.
So I can zoom in, but we lose a little bit when I do that. But regardless, here's what we're looking at. We're looking at week 14 in Eternal Baseball. I guess I will zoom in a little bit because that's a little oppressive. So we'll zoom in and then scroll down. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so you can see the teams. So I know that's a little bit small, but you can tell by the colors, right? The teams that had really good weeks include the Baltimore Orioles, who are waking up very unlike the real Orioles, who are having a tough run of it right now, aside from Trey Mancini and Cedric Mullins. But the Birmingham Knights had a really good week again, following up a 5-win week last week. But the Astros are the hottest team right now, at least for this week, 6-0. The only team that didn't lose a game, and they really made a lot of hay because they swept a 4-game set from the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks, that was over last weekend. The Diamondbacks and the maybe it was a 3-game set. Anyway, the Diamondbacks and Astros were both tied well back of the Braves because the Braves just wrapped up that 16-game winning streak and really pulled ahead in the division. But Houston and Arizona met in what felt like it could be an eliminator series if one of them got real hot, and one of them did. So the Diamondbacks really took on some water this week, whereas Houston got a little bit closer, but distanced themselves from their their co-second place competitors. So good news for the Astros and good news for the Pirates, who are hot and getting a little bit closer to the Phillies in the East. So we'll look at the standings in a sec. Some of the teams that had rough weeks, Minnesota Twins, Oakland A's are the ones to really watch. Because if you look at their last 3 weeks, 2-4, 2-4, 1-5. So they're one of the vulnerable division leaders right now, particularly because the Angels, even though they had a rough week, this is not rough, but 3-3, but they're coming off a 5-1 and a 4-2 week. So the Angels are a team that's making a push here out west to catch up with Oakland. Tampa and Toronto had rough weeks. The Padres as well. It's been a rather rough season for all 3 of those franchises. So that's what we saw this week. And what was cool this week, and I forgot this was coming when the new 3-game series started on Saturday and we were previewing them, it's interleague play right now. And interleague play, when it was new, it was awesome because, it was the World Series kind of matchups. You never see that often. And then the bloom kind of came off the rose, and I don't dislike it, but it doesn't matter much to me anymore. If it's there, fine. If it isn't, it doesn't really matter to me.
I agree with you.
But it was cool to see it come up here because, especially, I've been previewing the ace pitching matchups occasionally online and on social media. And it felt like we were just seeing the same ones come up over and over again. And not that it isn't cool always to see Cy Young against Brett Saberhagen on the schedule. But when you see it for the second time, it is a little less cool, right? Like Satchel Paige, Roger Clemens, and you're like, oh my God. But the second time, it's like, oh, well, it's a rematch, right? It's Rocky 2. So still amazing, but not revolutionary, I guess. So I was really happy to see interleague play pop up this week and have the teams get a little bit into it. So moving from the weekly tracker, this is our score standings, and I realized, wow, this is a real eye chart. But just running through it, I actually wrote it down. So the Phillies are up 12 games on the Mets out east. So the East is not much of kind of a runaway in the National League. In the South, the Braves are up 7 on the Astros. Atlanta has split their last 8 games, but Houston has won 10 of their last 11. So that's tightening up and could get closer. They're going to play each other again sooner or later. And so if Houston can take a bite out of Atlanta directly, we could see that tighten up real quick. I misspoke earlier. The Pirates aren't in the East. They're in the North in Eternal Baseball. And they're only 2 games back of St. Louis. So Pittsburgh's making a push. They've won 6 of their last 8. The Cubs are only 5 games back, so they're still, sort of in it. Out west, the Giants have been in control all year. They're up 16 games on the second-place Dodgers, and they've won 10 of their last 13. In the AL East, the Yanks are up 2 games on the Red Sox. Boston has scuffled a little bit. They've dropped 8 of their last 14, while New York has won 12 of 17 to get a little slight lead in the East. In the South, Birmingham is completely running away. The Royals are 23.5 games back.
That's amazing.
So watch out for the Knights in the playoffs. And the Tigers are up 12 games on the Indians in the North. Detroit has won 14 of 17 and are just kind of cruising at this point. But the AL West is the one that's real interesting because the A's are now only 2 games up on the Angels. And the Twins, even though they had a rough week, they're only 8 games back. So, get hot enough like Atlanta did a couple weeks ago, and things can happen. Oakland has only won 3 of their last 12, while the Angels have won 12 of their last 16. So that's a great way to make up some ground out there. So I like seeing the standings get a little closer. It's just better for everybody if the races are a little bit interesting. So,
yeah, I love it.
So here come the Angels, and the A's are slowing down. Braves are still moving, but the Astros are red hot. So that's where we're at from a standings perspective. We did have a cool week for some news and notes. We talked about Harry Heilmann last week. Might be the favorite for American League MVP. Fantastic outfielder for the Detroit Tigers. And he had his hit streak going. The last time we spoke, I think it was at 31 games. He made it to 34 games, and then his streak got snapped on Thursday. 34-game hit streak would have tied him with George McQuinn, Benito Santiago, and Dom DiMaggio for the 16th longest in MLB history. So
Benito Santiago, huh?
Remember Santiago had that? I don't think it was his rookie year, but maybe his second year.
Wow, I would never guess.
He had a long streak, and I forget if that was the one that was late in the year. There was one I remember that was late in the year, and people questioned, if it doesn't carry over to playoff games, and the answer was a definite no. But should a hit streak continue over 2 seasons?
Yeah,
right? And that was a really interesting question. And I think in the end they said it would, because you really can't penalize the hitter because there were no more scheduled games. So, but Santiago was an interesting one because he was a great catcher and a good hitter, but not a great hitter. So, he wasn't the kind of guy you would expect to put together 34 in a row, but that's one of the cool things about hit streaks, right? You go 1 for 4 and 1 for 5 every day.
Yeah.
And you can put together a hit streak as long as you want and still be hitting 241 or something like that. So Santiago was an interesting candidate in there.
I actually love the way when he's behind the plate, right? And that sort of that.
Yeah.
That I don't even know how to describe it, right? That modified crouch that you would do.
I always remember him for that whip throw to first, because I've never seen anybody do that regularly, right? And you think about how much that helped, and Yachty does that for St. Louis enough that people curtail their lead. It's interesting to me how much a player's defensive proficiency, especially with the arm, affects the overall play, right? Like you watch the guys like Vlad. I saw a spring training game with Vlad Guerrero once where it was like 4th or 5th inning, time to get the starters out. But Vlad was still in right. And some guy on the White Sox, or I forget who was playing, wearing number 88, right, in a spring training game. So there's no way this is a guy making the roster. But he wrapped a sharp single to right, and he took just a little bit of a wide turn past first. And Guerrero just unleashed the howitzer to second base. Damn near took the second baseman's glove off, catching it. And the guy cracked the biggest grin because he was never going to test that arm, but he wanted to see it. So he just took like 2 extra steps, and Vlad went, "Fine, kid." Pow! So I think it's interesting how much of that you don't see, because guys with cannon arms like Dave Parker or Vlad Guerrero, very rarely do they lead the league in assists, right? Because people just know better.
The word got out.
Right? Like, are you really going to try for 2 on Vlad? Come on now. So I always think that's interesting. So, and that was Santiago, certainly behind the plate. We did have our second no-hitter this week, Mike Scott from the Houston Astros, who I don't know if you could say notorious, but he was oft rumored to be quality at cutting the ball or putting stuff on the ball. And he was never caught, ever. And he never did anything to downplay it either, though, because I think it gave him, whether he was doing it or not, doing it a lot or only did it occasionally.
Yeah.
There's definitely a psychological advantage, right?
I love it.
Not catching up to that forkball again and going, he's doing something, man. I've never seen a ball do that. So
I love it because I was looking at on our Instagram and Twitter accounts. I'm for Player of the Day. I'm just grabbing old baseball cards and posting them. So when I looked for some of the older cards for Mike Mike Scott. I just thought he just looks like somebody's dad that you'd see at a barbecue, right?
Right.
I love those players that if you pass them on the street, right, you wouldn't even think twice, right? Versus Giancarlo Stanton, right? Like look at that guy, like
sure.
Like this guy's making some noise.
I put up a picture. I found a good picture this week from like the 1968 All-Star game or something. And it's all these guys. Like Bert Campaneris is a little shorter in it, but Norm Cash is in it. Bill Freehan's in it. And right in the middle is Frank Howard for the Washington Senators. And Frank Howard was a legit 6'8".
Wow.
He did Nestle Quick commercials, I found out back then. And to say, you want to get big like me? Drink Nestle Quick. And that's not really how it works. But you could argue with Big Frank, right?
Yeah, the FDA is like, I don't want any part of this. Like normally we would shut this down. But
yeah. And I don't know if anyone ever nicknamed him Frankenstein, but that's what it looked like, man. He was an absolute horse. And the Washington Senators, there were two different Senators franchises in Washington. The first one became the Minnesota Twins, and they won a lot in the 1910s, 1920s. And so they have some real talent that's contributing to the Eternal Baseball Twins. Walter Johnson's the best known, the Big Train, great nickname for a pitcher. Goose Goslin, a couple other guys who are contributing to the Twins. But they got a franchise back for a decade, and they were awful. They were so bad. And they're really only remembered for Frank Howard, the 6'8" monster, who, as you can imagine, had a ton of power. And they were managed by Ted Williams for a couple of years.
Wow.
So that's some cool history. And then the guy, Harmon Killebrew, Mr. Twin, was a senator first, which a lot of people don't know. I didn't know. But obviously he spent like 2 years in Washington and 15 in Minnesota. So I'm not saying he's more senator than Twin. But the second go round, they became the Texas Rangers. And Frank Howard was amazing. And they had a little infielder who played 1 year in Washington and then a bunch in Texas. I'm going to butcher the name, but Toby Harrah was a senator first. And so he was because he was just a baby, like a 21-year-old with the Senators, he was the last active former senator forever, right? By like a decade. Because I think he played to like 87, 88 maybe. So
yeah, interesting.
Good long career there. Anyway, Mike Scott, second no-hitter, almost had the first perfect game. It was against the Padres, walked Mark Loretta in the ninth inning, leading off in a 2-0 game. But he retired Terry Kennedy, pinch hitter Ryan Klesko, and then Tony Gwynn to seal the no-hitter. Reminded me of Dave Rigetti threw a no-hitter as a starter for the Yanks in like 83. And he struck out Wade Boggs to end it in 83. So it was Boston, and it was Boggs, and it was a K to end it because Boggs didn't strike out much. Yeah. So I saw that, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. He didn't strike Gwynn out. But to get Gwynn at the end is almost like the legit seal of approval. So
right, good way to cap it.
Kudos to Mike Scott for our second no-hitter and almost first perfect game. And then one thing that's changing this week, and this is the first time I've monkeyed with the roster to help on some level. So Pittsburgh's ace is a guy named Ed Morris, who I knew nothing about until I read into him a bit. He was the first great left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball. But if I'm saying first ever, we're talking like 1880s to late 1890s. But he was spectacular for his day. But the problem with some of these guys, and we've seen it with other teams, you have to manage their innings and start limits. Because back then, if Brent was the best pitcher on our team, then he was just our pitcher, right? It was like he was our goalie. You went out to play, and who's your pitcher? Well, it's Brent. Okay, cool. That's what it was like. And so Ed Morris is the kind of guy who never wants to give up the ball. So he had a run this week. He's got 18 wins, leads our league in wins, but there's an asterisk and a caveat with that. So he pitched an inning of mop-up relief on May 16th. Like they were losing 12-1. And he just came in the ninth. Like, yeah, I got an inning in me. So he pitched a scoreless ninth. Good for him. Then he started and won 3 consecutive complete games for the Pirates. I mean, and yeah, they are making a charge, right? But I mean, and our season started early, but it's May. Like, you got to take it easy, man.
That's little league style, right?
Right. So at the All-Star break, Morris has appeared in 30 games, started 29 of them, completed 14 of them. And he's 18-8 with 231 innings pitched in the first 81 games, right? So he's pretty much averaging 3 innings pitched every day in Pittsburgh. So, and I'm sure he'd be willing to do that, right? Like, give him the ball, man. But his target innings for the year are 312. So he's way over. So we shut him down for a month. So Ed Morris will not be back until June 20th. And given his record, the 21st and the 22nd as well. But otherwise, he would have run out of innings pitched. And we're seeing that a little bit now. Marty, who's one of our best fan on the message boards, is following the Diamondbacks close and always offering suggestions that we plug in. Noticed that Daniel Hudson I think it's their 5th starter, but he was only starting like every 10th game for the Diamondbacks because he started in relief. And the deal with Daniel Hudson, if you remember him with the Diamondbacks, he came up mid-year his first year and was real good, 7-1, I think. His second year, he was fantastic. And you thought, well, here's their ace for the next decade. And then that third year, he broke down mid-year. And that was his best 3-year stretch, stat-wise. So when we look at his stats and average them, it looks at a 10-start year and an 8-start year and a 32-start year. And it does the math and says, well, he should only pitch like 20 ball games. So, and as much as we'd like to take a guy who was injured and extrapolate and say, imagine if he wasn't, that's not true to the stats. So a guy like Daniel Hudson is only going to pitch 20 times a year. And so you'll have to pick where you want, at least as a starter. If you wanted him as a reliever, you could probably get more appearances, but not more innings. And so the computer will start bottlenecking guys' playing time so they don't go mad beyond what they actually did in their entered statistics. So to make sure they have Ed Morris at the end of the season, we're shutting them down here in the middle of the season. So Pirate fans, apologize, but that's where we're at.
Here's a quick comment from Gem or GM. Just getting back to Frank Howard's size, but
yeah, it's a good point on freehand. He's on the very left side. I might even have this photo. Maybe I can find it. And I just love the mix of the uniforms, right? Yeah, here it is. So there we go. That's freehand on the left.
Wow, yeah.
Right, and I think I didn't name them all, but it's Campaneris is over here. He's the shortish one. Paul Blair, Boo Powell, Frank Howard. I don't know how those glasses were like a foot thick.
Look how small Boog looks.
Right?
I think that was a tank in his own right?
This is Tony Oliva over here. Someone pointed out they think this is Norm Cash. They said it looks like his ear. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take your word for that.
Is it Oliva or Rod Carew?
That's a good point. It might be Carew. I know somebody said it was Oliva, but that's Sal. Is that Sal Bando, number 6? Might be.
Might be. Yeah, interesting.
ASU's Sal Bando. Thank you very much.
I love how you never miss a beat on that.
No, the Devils. We gotta get Floyd Bannister and Hubie Brooks in here. And
Hubie Brooks.
Bob Horner hit 4 homers in the game. Thank you very much. So, anyway, yeah, but it's a good point. Look how big freehand is compared to everybody except Frankenstein Howard here. So, anyway, I love those photos, right? Especially with the old school uniforms.
That's an absolute unit.
Yeah, looking real good. So that'll bring us to the All-Star game.
Dun,
so
dun, dun, dun.
What we did with our All-Star game is the computer selected the players, and then I exported the All-Star teams into a separate league because with the players based on this year's stats. So that way, this game doesn't affect the regular season at all. The innings pitched in this game won't happen. If a guy breaks his leg Ray Fosse in this
I was
game.
gonna say we'll see what Pete Rose has to say about this not influencing the rest of the season.
Everyone's safe from Pete Rose because he didn't make the All-Star team. It was interesting to me though that Cincinnati got 3 guys on the All-Star team because they're not having the one team that's really disappointing so far. But they landed Frank Robinson, George Foster, and Tony Mullane, who's another one of these 1890 pitchers, but a little calmer than Ed Morris. There's 3 of them that made the All-Star team: Morris, Tony Mullane, and Jim Whitney. And they're all NL All-Stars. Whitney's a Brave, Morris is a Pirate, and Mullane's a Red. So I assume they just had like a triple threat death match before the game to see who actually gets to start. So
Here's
this will
quick
be
comment from Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And coolest thing ever, because I got to go to some Oriole games when I was in DC, that Boog Powell has a barbecue stand, or he did, in the outfield pavilion called Boog's Barbecue. And he was there like half the time, right? Just slinging barbecue to Oriole fans. I'm like, that's cool.
Just gets a good meal, gets to meet with the fans, take some photos.
That's getting that bottle out and writing Boog and barbecue on your burger. And like, yeah, that's cool. So, and a great park, of course. So, but we're going to be controlling the American League All-Star team here. So, and I did a dry run of this to make sure I get it right because there's all sorts of pitfalls. And since the All-Star game usually goes to new franchises and new parks, we're going to honor our Roto Birmingham Knights, who play at Rickwood Field in Birmingham. And I don't know if it matters, but we want to get the date right. So on May 23rd for a night game, I think we're good.
Wow, great photo.
It's such a cool looking field. I love the foliage in the background and everything. So, make sure I got my player displays right. Yep, already did it. So, I've run this a couple times just to make sure, because I didn't want to get here and have it freeze, right? And they picked different lineups almost every game for the National League. I input what looked to be the guys who deserve to be the starters, and maybe they'll follow it, maybe they won't. I've gotten 3 different starters 3 different times for the National League. So, I really don't know how the computer puts that together. But for us, we are going to, even though it's an AL park, we're playing by National League rules. So there will be no DH. That will encourage more pitching changes. And because they're 28-man rosters, and only 25 guys can be active. So just looking at the numbers, I hope you didn't tune in to see, let's see, Dave Winfield, Tony Mullane, or Jim Whitney. Both not available. So sorry, guys. And for the AL, Ben Sheets from Milwaukee, Nelson Cruz from Texas, and Carlos Delgado from the Blue Jays. And the one thing broke my heart as a Yankee fan, and this is one of those, this used to happen all the time, where Ricky Henderson, another one of my favorites, wouldn't make the All-Star team. And I'd be like, well, how do you not put Ricky on the team? And there was always some schmo, right, from some terrible team, their best player, but not really an all-star, who would make it because every team has to be represented. And I looked at it here, and it was Delgado's numbers are not Gehrig's numbers, but he gets a first base slot because Toronto doesn't have a better eligible candidate. And also, if you look at our pitchers and the years they're having, the ERA they have now, Martin Dihigo and Babe Ruth are not legitimate here because they're eligible as pitchers, but they have not pitched this first half of the season. So their ERA is 0. But Mariano Rivera has a 0 ERA at the All-Star break. I was pretty hyped about that after you see it. But when you scroll on down with relievers, you've got Mariano, who's incredible, Dennis Eckersley, who's brilliant. I think you got Jake McGee down here with a 3.02. And I was like, Jake McGee's an all-star and Lou Gehrig isn't. Like, I mean,
is he the Rockies representative? Is that?
No, he's Tampa. He's a Ray in this. Colorado's fine. They have LeMahieu, who's leading the whole league in hitting.
That's right.
So they're pretty legit. Although there are some higher ERAs. Walter Johnson's is higher than I expected. But he's also what's he won? 13 games. And Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan are a little elevated, but they got a ton of strikeouts, as you would expect. So anyway, getting back to it, we'll look at how the guys are doing. Again, this is when you hit the RP button, that's replay. So that's what's going on in our season. Has nothing to do with their entered stats. This is what they've really done. So I've run through this a couple times, and like I said, Heilmann is ridiculous. And DiMaggio has hit leadoff for New York almost all year. And then the lefties slot in easily with George Brett hitting second, Babe Ruth cleaning up. Ruth plays left because Heilmann is okay in right and dreadful in left. His 5 drops to a 2. So for whatever reason, he's allergic to left field. So he gets Ruth's right field. Ruth will be happy enough to play left. But because we filled 3 of our 4 slots with outfielders, that means Tris Speaker is out of luck, coming off the bench. So
generally, Tris Speaker.
Yeah, right. So McGuire at first, Cabrera sits. Willie Wells is an incredible talent from the Negro Leagues, who's having an amazing year. For Birmingham, he gets to start at shortstop. I was a little surprised that Chris Hoyles is the best catcher in the American League so far. So it's not Carlton Fisk, it's not Bill Freehand, it's not Yogi Berra. It's Chris Hoyles, so who even splits time with Gus Fiados of Baltimore, but his numbers are pretty legit, so when he goes. And then one of the players I've gotten to know better, just watching games, this guy, Bob Johnson, who I think was like an 8th Cherokee, I think. So his nickname, he played in the 30s, I think. His nickname was Indian Bob because he had a sliver of Native American in his genealogy. But he played mainly outfield, but he played enough second base to qualify. So he gets in as the second baseman. And the pitcher is no doubt pretty easy to figure out. You get past Martin DeHigo. He's from the Birmingham Knights too. Babe Ruth, Mariano Rivera, Dennis Eckersley. Here he is, Ed Walsh, who pitched for the White Sox in, I think, the 20s. And I think he has the career low, the record for lowest career ERA at like 1.8.
Wow.
So, Ed Walsh is the truth. And he looks mean, too.
I was going to say, it looks like he's all business.
Yeah.
This guy would throw one right at your ear.
I put him up. We sent out invites, like official formal looking invitations to all the teams on Facebook saying, Mr. Edward Walsh is cordially invited to the All-Star game. And on a White Sox page, one guy said, that guy's cool. Maybe I can get his jersey. And I wrote, not from him, because he passed in the 50s. But whatever. So there we go. That's what we're looking like. It looks like we're facing Jim Whitney, who's the pitcher who I thought I made him an actor, but I'm not controlling the National League team. So if we view our opponent, check their lineup, DJ LeMahieu, Willie Mays, Dick Allen, Cody Bellinger, Hank Aaron, Jim Wynn, Gary Sheffield at shortstop.
That's short. Yes. With
a 2 rating.
We're doing it, Webb. This is the night.
We'll see how quick Alex Bregman gets in, but I think that's their only 2 shortstops. So with that, I think we're ready for baseball.
Welcome to Rickwood Field for tonight's game between NL and AL. Jim Whitney takes the mound for NL. He's made 14 starts on the year and is 10-3 with an
Look at Ed Walsh.
3.02. His first start against AL.
I don't think he likes use glasses. He's unimpressed.
Starts on the year and is 13-6.
I mean, we are dodging a bullet. I think Tom Seaver has an ERA right around 2.
Oh, okay.
So I was putting together
wind speed 3
Tom
miles
Terrific,
per hour
but
in from right center field.
Sheffield at short and Jim Whitney on the mound.
Walsh.
And good luck getting the ball away from Jim Whitney.
Second baseman.
So
26. DJ Lima
Hua. Here we go.
We got to get around the diamond because it's good just to see him. Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Harry Heilmann, George Brett, Willie Wells, Bob Johnson, Mark McGuire, Because Hoyles and Ed Walsh. One thing we'll have to watch, Hoyles is a 5 defensively with a 4 arm. So they will probably be trying to steal on us all day long. So DJ Limakua. Let's see what you got. Yeah, of course.
Center fielder, Willie Mays.
So even a guy like DJ, we're going to have to throw over a little bit just to try to keep him close.
There we go.
And no problem, Willie Mays, right?
Third baseman, number 15, Dick Allen.
I didn't know that much about Dick Allen before we actually did the studying. I told you we sat by a scout once at a Yankee game, and Sheffield was playing, and he said, Sheffield is the new Dick Allen. And we said, I honestly don't know that much about Dick Allen. And he said he was fastest bat in the 70s, is what he said. So good to know. And he's having a terrific year for Philadelphia.
Cool glasses, too, by the way.
Right? And he played for the White Sox, too. Had some really good years for Chicago. So I think he was one of those guys, one of those absolute borderline Hall of Fame guys. But he just hasn't had that groundswell of a fan base really pulling for him and making.
Yeah, you don't really hear much about him, do you?
No, and I'm guessing that's because his career got split. That he spent 4 or 5 really good years in Chicago. So if he'd have stayed in Philly, I bet he'd get more support by the diehards, right? If he played there a decade instead of 6 years or whatever it was. But he's right there with like the Fred McGriffs, where you're like, oof. Hard. McGriff ended with like 497 homers, and everybody with 500 got in.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man. So anyway,
here's a quick comment from Rob.
This game is for nothing. Home field in the series goes to better record. So not that I have any problem with them trying to spice up the All-Star game in MLB, but for us, it doesn't affect the season at all. And again, it's played out of context. So if Jim Whitney wants to pitch all 14 innings today, he'll still be ready to go tomorrow, which isn't that different from real eternal baseball. So here's Cody Bellinger, who I finally stopped calling Clay. The first time he was player of the day, I wrote Clay Bellinger off because I remember his dad as a Yankee. So. Ed Walsh not pleased with his first inning so far. You can see
get angry, Ed.
Get a little grumpy. So no big deal. 1 out, bases loaded. Hank Aaron. I mean, oh boy.
Just took off.
You know what? We haven't got the bat yet, though. So
left fielder Jim Whitney.
I love how the trajectory of that just kind of went slow and then just went in orbit.
Yeah, it just had the boom. If it had been a little more to left center, it might have hit that gigantic scoreboard. But yeah, so good for you. Hard to be mad at Hank Aaron. So good for you, Hank. Jim Wynn is one of the more surprising All-Stars. He's had a really good year for Houston. It's one of the reasons they're really competitive. Sit down, though.
Shortstop.
Look at that blue.
Sheffield.
Such a good-looking hat. This is only about 3 years removed from him having his initials engraved on his front 2 teeth. So
that was pretty slick.
Maybe not the best life choices for Gary Sheffield, but there we go.
Pitching for NL. Jim.
Look at Jim Whitney.
Leading off for AL. Center fielder.
Gentleman Jim.
Jim Whitney was a little late to the game because he was robbing a stagecoach earlier in the day.
Where are the bearer bonds?
Right?
We need the bearer bonds.
You never give me a live, Sheriff. I got an all-star game to pitch. So, all right, we want to take advantage of this because this should be Tom Seaver. So, let's go get it. Look at that, just like that. Jody.
Baseman George Brett.
Don't hit it to Willie Mays.
Carey.
You remember
remember
our Giants game where he was catching sure doubles behind Barry Bonds?
Here's from Rob talking about Gentleman Jim.
Yep, absolutely. Kind of a buzz cut, though, right? Like,
I'm gonna
not messing
Photoshop the like old Colt 45 into that
Right.
picture.
not messing with Jim Whitney. All right, Harry Heilmann. Dick Allen's not a terribly good third baseman either. Oh,
Left
LeMay, who
fielder,
got hurt.
Number 3, Babe.
What happened?
But he's going to stay in the game.
I'm a Hua.
So DiMaggio slid hard into Lee McHugh. That's some Yankee on Yankee violence now. But fine.
I think Ed Walsh got him to do that.
Right? Ed Walsh pumping his fist.
It's like that young upstart with his fancy sunglasses.
I'm thinking we can make some hay against this left side if they stay in. Dick Allen, Jerry Sheffield, not exactly sponsored by Hoover Vacuum over there.
See, the problem with this lineup is they're so good that we're not going to be inspired to hit and run or send them up, you know.
It's true. We will try to get some guys in, though, later on, but for subs. So, all right, Babe Ruth. Yeah, with 2 outs and Babe Ruth up, I'm probably throwing over like 9 times. Just it's better than the alternative. Oh, Lee McHugh. Not that hurt.
Catcher, Joe Torre.
Look at gentleman Joe Torre, the king of Atlanta. That doesn't have the distance. A lot of foul ground, too. Oh, it makes the stands.
Whoa.
All right. When Torre hits a triple,
This might not be our evening.
I'm just saying, we got a deep team. So maybe we get old Jake McGee in there quick because relievers warm up faster. And since we were starting Walsh is a right-hander, I think, we'll get, oh, man. I'm like, if we want to go with a lefty, do we want to go with Newhouser or Randy Johnson?
Let's get Randy up.
All right, Randy.
We're just going to blow through our entire staff.
Whatever. We're
going to Bud Selig it, man, in like the 4th inning.
Look at this bullpen. Randy Johnson, Mariano, Eckersley, Cy Young, Satchel Paige. Like,
jeez.
I don't want any bullets left in the pistol. So, all right. Oh, Jim Whitney batting.
Second baseman.
We have so many gun references. We're probably going to get flagged on YouTube.
Right. That's the point. Okay, here's wounded DJ Lee McHugh.
Good
man.
First baseman.
Doesn't seem that hurt.
Mark McGuire.
All right, well, we're not going to need McGee because he got out of the inning. Oops. So we'll go to the bullpen. We'll sit him down. And we'll have Randy ready for the next inning. All right, Big Mac. I liked McGuire before all the stuff.
Shortstop.
Big redheaded guy named
Willie
Mark hits homers.
Wells.
Like, what's not to like before all the steroidal stuff came around?
Yeah, he kind of before he really got big, man. He was just kind of, a little kind of awkward looking at times, you know, almost.
Yeah. They, he and Canseco were packaged as the Bass brothers, but you just didn't believe they hung out a whole lot outside of the photo shoots, right?
No, yeah, you didn't get that sense.
No. All right, Chris Hoyles, the surprising all-star. Imagine that. It gets by Sheffield.
Second baseman, Bob Johnson.
And here
All right, here's the where are the singing cats, Mark?
Right? For Bob Johnson.
Center fielder, Willie.
We got to
Mays.
count how many times the ball got hit to center and it didn't accomplish anything. Because I get the feeling Willie Mays is just going to put on a clinic here again today. Oh, and now he's up. So, but you don't get to face Ed Walsh. His day is done. He seems upset about it.
That's a pretty weak showing, Ed.
Randy Johnson.
Willie Wells is up
baseman,
to the task.
Jake Allen. First baseman, Cody Bellinger.
All right, Cody. When Cody Bellinger his picture gets up on Dodger
Pitcher,
Facebook
Randy
groups,
Johnson.
either as a player of the day or announcing his all-star team, like 80% of the likes are female. So no doubt that Cody Bellinger has got a very strong female.
He's in the right market.
Right? So Randy Johnson is now up to bat.
I guess we didn't think this through very well.
Well, I could have moved him in the lineup, but I just figured we would cycle through pitchers as
so
they came up to bat. So
who do you want to bat?
let's see what we got. We got plenty against a right-hander. So batting OPS against right. Our best guy is Ricky Henderson, although I kind of assumed he would pinch run at some point, but he's leading off the inning. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Ricky comes in for Randy.
Guess we need to get somebody up.
And in the pen,
Ricky Henderson.
since they're set for a right-handed lineup, I think we'll go to Newhouser next before they start changing their guys around. So Detroit Tiger Hal Newhouser warming in the pen. As one of Garrigan and Henderson, my two favorite players of all time. So
We missed a couple of comments here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Willie Mays Hayes? And not, I don't remember all the names from that. Pedro Serrano? Or I forget Corbin Burns.
Yeah, it was Corbin. It was the third baseman.
Yeah, I forget. They even pinch hit him in the second movie to go get hit by the pitch. So, anyway.
There's a second one.
Somebody's going to get that. Somebody knows it, and we're going to hear it here in a second.
Oh,
All right, Ricky, let's see what we got. Hey!
yes.
Willie
Here we
Mays
go.
didn't catch that, did he?
Send him.
All right, so here's what I found. Torre's not fantastic back there, but I hate to do it to you, Joe D, but I'm going to give you a tape sign because that gives Ricky a chance to pad that 70% a little bit. So, 55.
What? All right,
56.
what? This is ridiculous.
All right, I'm gonna give DiMaggio the take one more time.
You're giving Joe DiMaggio 2 takes.
Right, but it's 1-1. It's fine. All right, I'll run him at 76.
The nerve, Weber.
Right? Hey, Joe D, how do you think Joe D would have taken that?
Do you think Jody would even be looking at the third base coach
He'd probably give
in this game?
him the take sign and he'd just leave the game, just walk out, just disgusted. I gotta imagine Joe D and Ricky wouldn't have a whole lot to talk about.
Well, I don't know. Oh, Roger Dorn, thank you.
You know what? DiMaggio was from San Francisco.
Was he?
Originally.
He's a West Coast guy?
He was a West Coast guy, yeah.
Interesting.
And Ricky, born in Chicago, but grew up in Oakland. So maybe they would have been Bay Area best buddies. Who knew?
Roger Dorn.
Roger Dorn, that's right.
Yes.
All right, it's Ricky time. I don't know why I didn't get 62.
Gotta send it. Just gotta go. Just gotta send it.
Maybe I just let DiMaggio hit.
All right. You choose.
Look at that. Willie Mays couldn't catch it.
Third baseman.
And he took second.
Brett.
Dude, I'm not saying we should steal home, but maybe we should steal.
41. You know that's just the computer messing with me, right?
How about we let Brett? So if Brett takes one, will that jump? I mean, it's over 50%, man.
Look, man, we are down 4-0.
Oh, Weber, you and your logic.
Nobody out and runners on second and third.
You and your logic.
Can't do it right now. I want to do it so bad, but I can't do it right now. Look at that. Well, it's going to get him home. Send Henderson home? Yes.
98.
Right fielder, Carey, Heilmann.
He would basically have to trip and break his leg.
Right? And even then, he might crawl in. So we get one. No. Jim Wynn's not moving.
Left fielder, Babe Ruth.
Let's go, Babe Ruth.
First baseman.
Yeah, they put him on.
McGuire.
So they put him on to pitch to McGuire. Oh, I don't know.
Fielder, Hank, Aaron.
All right, well, we
There's
got
a couple more comments.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about great performance of Mr. Copy.
That's a good call.
Yankees, first baseman.
Clue Haywood, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, that was the guy who talked trash with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who Bob Uecker said he leads the league in most offensive categories, including nose hair. When that guy sneezes, it looks like a party favor. So we're putting Newhouser in. There we go. For, my man Rick
Pitching
Anderson.
for AL. Hal, Newhouser.
All right, Hank, 4 RBIs today, but it's only the 4th inning. That one went the wrong way, didn't it, Hank? How was your podcast, Dad? Pretty good.
Jim
I trash talked Hank Aaron.
There you go.
Man, Jim Whitney. Lynn's quick.
So every time we're about to start, my daughter always looks at me. She's like, "Dad, don't swear." You got it.
That's good advice, just in general.
That's a joke, right?
Yeah. All right, Gary Sheffield with his fashionable teal hat. Not getting it by George Brett.
Shortstop.
Royals fans are happy with that, but they still think Frank White should have made the team at second base. Frank White has gotten called up, hitting 198, by the way. For all you Royal fans out there who were like, we don't want Whit Merrifield. He's no Jim Otis or Amos Otis. He's no Willie Wilson. Okay. Willie Wells, one of my favorites.
Catcher, Chris Boyles.
Now, Wells can run a little bit, but I don't know, 73%?
I'm always for it, but
All right,
it's a shame we can't charge the mound. It'd be fun to see Whitney rip his shirt off and go like old school. Like.
Right? I'm sure he has suspenders on under it. Like,
There you go.
all right, we'll send Will. You know what? We'll split the difference. We'll hit and run with Chris Hoyles. What could go wrong? Well, kept him out of the double play.
Second baseman.
Yeah, it is. It's not quite there. Give it a year or two, but she's
Right.
very genuine when she asked me to make sure that
I think we've been real PG. I think.
I mean, I am doing my best.
Yeah, exactly. We neither of us said a word when Hank Aaron hit that bomb in the first inning, so it's hard to be mad at Hank. That's a good shot. Oh, Willie's gonna drop it.
No way.
Willie dropped it.
Was that an error?
Hal,
An error on Willie Mays.
Wow.
His first of the year, I'm sure, right?
That is amazing.
I bet it must have been like the webbing, the string of his glove fell apart or something like it. It could have been Willie's fault. But now we got second, third with Hal Newhouser up. So
Okay, who do we go to now?
well, dealer's choice. It would be a starter, so I can give you Cy Young, Satchel Paige, Roger Clemens, Nolan Ryan, or I guess Ben Sheets is available.
So we gotta put Satchel in at some point.
All right, yeah, it's his home park. Let's make sure we get Paige in. I like that. So we'll warm up Satchel Paige, and then we'll get to our roster here and see. We're still against right-handers. So the next best guy is Trammell. So if we put Trammell in, he would become our shortstop at our new, when the pitcher's ready. When Paige is ready, he can come in for Wells in the 6th hole.
Okay.
Does that seem legit?
I like it.
All right, Alan Trammell, you're hitting for Newhouse.
pinch hitting for AL. Alan Trammell.
All right. Did you get 2 in? All right, so 1 out. Jim Wynn has a 7 arm. We got a 61% chance to get Johnson home. I assume Trammell will take second on the throw.
Yeah, what do you think? Who's up next?
It'd be top of the order, so DiMaggio.
It takes a lot of the aggression out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're feeling it, man.
Yeah, there's enough game left. Let's see what we got here. Go get him, Bob Johnson. Oh, yeah, they might cut the throw to second, so I'm not going to send Trammell to second. but we'll send Johnson home. Oh,
Center fielder.
Dude, he was out by like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Dang
Not close. All right. We're just gonna.
Yeah.
We got creative. We got burnt. So
We gave into the peer pressure. I didn't show
Right?
the comment earlier, but
Man.
yeah. Here's
Come on, Joe.
if Whitney wins this game,
Catcher, Joe.
he's got to be Grover
Whitney's
Cleveland.
apparently never coming out. So yeah. I think Grover Cleveland. Well, no. Grover Alexander's a teammate. You may have settled for that. Okay, so Paige is ready. Didn't occur to me this game might run long. Okay, allow.
Tram is going to be a World Series MVP. Yeah.
Hope so. All right, so Paige
Nice.
goes in for Wells. Trammell
for
stays in to
AL.
play short.
Satchel.
We gotta get Sweet Lou Whitaker up at some point for
It's
For the
funny because
Tigers.
they're just so deep.
yeah.
Like, man, it's Charlie Derringer's their second base.
Maybe they'll clinch early enough. We can get him a couple of bats. Yeah.
Yeah, and Whitaker's another one of those guys who he didn't even make it off. He lasted 1 year on the Hall of Fame ballot. And I'm not positive he's a Hall of Famer, but he shouldn't have been a one and done guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that helps. If he gets another look by a veterans committee, maybe at some point. Okay, so here's Satchel Paige, who leads the entire league in strikeouts. So this should be at his home park. This should be a show. There you go.
Pitcher, Jim Whitney.
There's
Whitney's
no
just gone.
way with the depth they have that Jim Whitney should be batting.
Are you going to tell Jim Whitney no in the dugout?
I'm just saying when I click pitch, you have to commit to pitch before they'll put in a pinch hitter. So it's still possible they're going to pinch hit. But they don't, because Jim
Second
Whitney
baseman, DJ.
will not leave the mound. Fine. Wounded DJ Lemahua is next. At least he hit the ball. But quick as a
Third
cat,
baseman,
Mark McGuire
George
is all over it.
Brett.
All right, so here we are, back to top of the order pretty much. George Brett, help us out. Oh boy, could be. Nope, off the wall.
Right field.
Good start.
Heilmann.
Foul. Come on, Harry.
Left fielder, Babe Ruth.
Ruth has not done much. Lined out, well, he got walked. It's not his fault.
First baseman, Mark
Babe Ruth letting us
McGuire.
down. McGuire, fly out, strikeout.
Rob wanted us to bunt with Babe, but
Just see him run.
Center fielder, Willie Mays.
All right, Willie. So we could probably go another inning with Paige.
oh, for sure.
All right. Willie's fast. They got him.
Third baseman, Dave Allen.
Oh,
First baseman,
Close.
Cody Bellinger.
We could walk Bellinger to pitch to Aaron. Oh, we did it anyway.
there you go.
Oh,
Ask
no.
you shall receive.
I didn't mean it.
Aaron.
I mean, you can pitch around him, but I mean, look what's coming next. Win with 35 homers, Sheffield 39. Those are the average stats, right?
As Jim said, this is fun.
Oh.
Just throwing these names out.
more fun if you're in the National League, but I'm more angry. This could be just one, but the lead runner. I'm more angry that they're winning by just capitulating to Jim Whitney, right? Whereas we're rotating guys in like you should. And
That guy is persuasive, man.
yes,
With his Colt 45 on his hip.
right. I wonder who went down to Ed Walsh and went, yeah, that's enough.
Sent the
Cool
bat
with that.
boy.
Cool with that, Ed? They probably sent him to get something and then lock the door.
There you go.
All right, Jim Wynn, Pride of Houston, strike it out.
Pitcher, Satchel Paige.
All right, well, we're not letting Paige bat. So, AL roster. Again, right-handers. So Martin Dihigo is our next best from an entered stats perspective, but from a so far this year perspective, it's Tris Speaker.
Gentleman Tris Speaker.
I mean, we can figure it out later, but he's our best.
We're gonna totally Bud Selig ourselves here at some point.
It's coming. We have enough trouble with regular roster, right?
Pinch hitting
So
for
that
AL.
means with Page gone,
Tries Speaker.
who we going to next? Cy Young, Roger Clemens, Nolan Ryan, or Ben Sheets?
Tris Speaker with his modified Hitler mustache.
Right.
Over there.
and he had the off kilter hat way earlier than most guys did.
There you go.
So or Walter Johnson. I think we got to get Walter Johnson in there. Okay. Tris Speaker is an incredible bunter, but they're already playing in. So there we go.
There we go. Send him.
Catcher.
Not
Chris
at 50.
Hoyles.
Chris Hoyles. You know
Just-
what?
This is when we need Ricky.
I'm done with Chris Hoyles because the backup is Josh Gibson, who is not having the year you would expect. Gibson is known as the Black Babe Ruth. If you know any Negro League players, it's Satchel Paige or Josh Gibson, and Gibson is a massive improvement defensively. So
Got to get him into the home park.
Chris Hoyles,
Pinch hitting for
your day is
AL.
done.
Josh Gibson. Pinch hitting for AL. Josh Gibson.
Right. All right, keep moving.
Here we go.
Second baseman, Bob Johnson.
Bob Johnson is a bad bunter. We could get Martin Dihigo in here, but a little early. I think we'll keep a couple pieces. Dihigo plays second and third, so he's valuable to us a couple different ways. So Bob Johnson, let's see it. Willie's
Oh.
I just assumed Willie would get it, but
Shortstop, Allen.
It's seriously like the Bad News Bears, man.
right.
That guy just roaming everywhere.
So Gibson can steal, but I think we've gotten a little bit when we got creative or aggressive. So I think maybe we just let Trammell hit or hit and run if you want.
Give us Sweet Lou.
Yeah. He's not even on the Tigers roster. Oh, it's my friend Mike. Big Willie Randolph. You want to hit and run with Gibson or just let him swing?
Wow. Oh, man. I don't know. What do you think? How aggressive are you feeling?
I mean, I tend to be less aggressive, but the hit and run earlier kept us out of a double play, which would end the inning. So
I think you're slowly coming to my side. Come to
right,
the dark side, whatever.
fine. All right, but you're going to see me get real conservative if we get burned again here. So, oh, look at that, like a dream.
Oh, man.
Center fielder,
Clockwork.
DiMaggio.
Joe D, who's not much of a bunter. Send Gibson home. I think I would.
Since they could turn the double play.
Because they could turn the double play anyway, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, all right. Because if they get him at home, then we've still got, it's only 2 outs. We've still got another shot to try these guys in.
Boom.
So, yeah. Run, Joe.
Joe, get down there.
George.
Yeah.
See, there's no throw. So apparently Trammell did his job ambushing the second baseman. So George Brett. Oh, you don't
Shortstop.
see that much.
Carey, Sheffield.
All right.
All right. So we got to do some work here. So in the roster, hang on. So we're putting in, Speaker was our pinch hitter. Heilmann's up next. We could put Walter Johnson in for Bob Johnson in the 8-hole, but we're going to pinch hit for him anyway, right? We don't have to hide him so much. So the question is, do we want to leave Speaker in for somebody? His numbers on the season aren't as good as Heilmann or Ruth. or DiMaggio. So I don't see any reason to leave him in.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, so we will, instead of going to the roster, yeah, I know. Okay, so I got to do it here. So Walter Johnson for Chris Speaker and Josh Gibson will be catching. Oh, sorry. Walter Johnson will be pitching. Josh Gibson catching. There we go. Everyone's happy.
Pitching for AL. Walter Johnson.
Oh, look at that. Walter thought Chris Speaker looked so cool with his hat that he's following along. He's in the click. So the big trade, Walter Johnson. Walking airship.
Catcher, Joe Torre.
Torre's apparently going to play all day too, and Gary Carter is on the bench just going, it's cool.
Pitcher, Jim
Whitney. I just like seeing you guys play.
You're right. The nicest guy in baseball.
Right now they're going to hit Jim Whitney again.
So weird.
Oh,
I guess season 2 we got to go head to head.
Right? Who knew Jim Whitney was running the whole squad, but fine. Wounded DJ Lee Mahua.
Right.
Jody. It's late early these days.
I think we're going to get Eck in at some point too, huh?
Yeah, Eck and Mo, right?
Oh, Mo, yes.
Mo.
Gotta get Mo in.
Yeah, let's see who we got left here. I mean, we got to get Nolan Ryan in the game, yeah? All right, so we'll go Nolan, Eck, Mo, unless things go funky.
Yeah. Well, maybe bring Mo earlier if we need to.
All right, we'll start warming up. Nolan Ryan. All right, Harry. About time, Mr. Hit Street.
Left fielder, Babe Ruth.
Ruth has been a disappointment. Line out, well, the walk's not his fault, but struck out. I would like to see some fireworks. Well, I'll take it. Yeah, not with nobody out. Yeah, not happening.
On Willie Mays.
Mark.
Now we could bunt with McGuire, but he's rated 0 on the bunt scale. So,
Pitcher, Walter Johnson.
So it's not going to be Walter Johnson. Still Jim Whitney, amazingly. So let's see, batting. Our next best is Miguel Cabrera. And actually, we've only got 2 guys left, Cabrera and Dihigo, who can play everywhere. So even pitch.
Mike said Frank White to close.
That's a good call, right? I'm sure they want the quiz.
I missed Jem's comment earlier when Trammell came through, but I'll save it for the next at bat.
There we go. All right, well, we'll go to Detroit again because here comes Miguel Cabrera. Pinch hitting
for AL.
And don't be thinking,
number 20.
Oh, yeah, Miguel. I've seen him like a turnstile this year. This is in his prime, like Triple Crown winner or threat, Miguel Cabrera. So let's see some of that. Okay, keep moving. Nah.
Gosh,
not doing it.
Willie Mays gets everything.
Right? Well, Mays has a 10 arm, too, so no.
Catcher, Josh Gibson.
Josh Gibson.
I think Trammell's going to get a chance to come through again. All right, come on, Gibson.
No.
Second base, Bob Johnson.
I'm not going to pinch hit Dihigo for him because we might need him. God forbid somebody gets hurt or something. So, Bob Johnson, spotlight's on you. Willie Mays.
Center fielder, Willie.
Oh, and here's Mays. Willie again. Good to see you, Willie. Although he did drop one. That was pretty incredible earlier on. But
yeah, he's over 3. That probably just jinxed us. But
right. Yeah, Willie never took anything personally, ever. So I'm sure that won't bother him. Oh, we're missing a pitcher. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that that is the whole reason why we even started doing this, right? Yeah. Nolan Ryan pitching to Willie Mays, which might have, did it ever happen? It might have when when Nolan was a Met early on, right? These guys might actually have cross swords at some point.
There's a comment from Rob real quick.
Right? It's a good call right there.
Pitching for AL.
Nolan Ryan. Love it. And he walks.
There you go.
Third baseman, Dig Allen.
I'm going to pick you off, Billy. Or at least, okay, get you settled down. Oh, Nolan.
That's we got the double negative.
Bellinger.
Nolan Ryan.
You know what? We don't have to suffer this. If there's one more bad one, we'll get Eck rolling. Foul ball. I still don't know why they show those occasionally, but fine. All right, that's it. Nolan Ryan was a
Right
dud.
Man,
Gave it up. Wait a minute. Not yet. I have to do a mound trip. Nolan Ryan's pitched to 3 batters, and I'm coming out to see if he's okay. Hey, Nolan, how's it going? Just check in.
Just send the bat boy out again.
Right.
Hey, mister.
Mr. Ryan. Skipper said you get to come in now. Okay, Eck. Save us. That is not what we had in mind.
Oh, dude, slipping away.
Win.
Now we're getting mocked.
Yeah, well, I love the answers, right? Like, you shouldn't have pitched Nolan Ryan. Okay, right? Why'd you go to Eck in the 8th? I mean, man. Jerry Sheffield mocking us with his teal hat, but fine. Oh, that's all right.
Catcher, Joe. Torre.
Torre's pretty excited about the whole thing. All right, could have been worse, but
shortstop, Allen.
Now we're down 6-4, and Jim Whitney, who could throw 145 pitches, so he's got 24 left in the bullet. Let's pinch hit for. Are we gonna pinch hit for Trammell and make Jim really?
No, we gotta keep that Trammell.
All right, fine. Come on, Trammell's been good, right? Let's see. 2 singles, right?
As Rob said, we could send Robin Ventura out.
Right. that is Ventura's picture in the game, is him getting pummeled by Nolan Ryan. So, all right, Alan.
Oh, it's got a chance.
Not the
wrong
Willie,
guy.
though.
Dang it.
Fielder, Joe.
Willie would climb one of those trees out there in center and catch it. I think it was.
We need our guys to open up their batting stances.
Right.
Pick
Lean
a corner.
into one here. Come on, Joe. That's got a chance. No.
Willie Mays, dude.
Willie Mays hurting us.
Killing us.
Yeah, hit it to Willie.
3 in a row.
Jim Whitney.
He's going to pitch a complete game against
Whit's
us.
going to bat in the 9th inning.
I guess we got to go. We'll go head-to-head next year.
Come on, man. He's mad about what we did to his friend Ed Morris, right? I heard what you did to Ed Morris. It's not cool. All right, I'm going to warm up Mariano just in case. All right, so Eck looks strong, but yeah, that's what you get, Jim Whitney.
Baseman, DJ Lima Hua.
Harry Heilmann.
Oh.
Center
Letting
fielder,
us down.
Willie.
All right, should we bring?
Yeah, just because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Mariano
Pitching
Rivera,
for AL.
who has not given up a run
42,
this year
Mariano
in Eternal
Rivera.
Baseball against Willie Mays with 1
As
out.
Jim said, quit hitting the center.
Yeah, exactly, right? All right, Mo. Oh.
Third baseman,
All
Dig
right.
Allen.
That's more like it.
First baseman, Cody Bellinger. Right fielder.
Should have gone to Rivera earlier, apparently.
Yeah, rings true.
All right, Heilmann, Ruth, McGuire, down 2. And then if Rivera comes up, we've got Martin Dihigo Diego, pardon me, hometown hero. So now Heilmann's a really good bunter.
Yeah, up to you, man.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because we need base run. Ah, Torre's all over it.
Joe Torre.
Babe, Ruth.
Let's go, babe. And that's the Sheffield.
Did he make it? Did he make it? Oh, come on.
Oh, it looked like Ruth beat that out. Look, even over here. Questionable call there. Son of a bitch. Okay. Oh, I cursed. Sort of. So this could be it. Jim Whitney.
Can you imagine how pissed off Babe Ruth would be if he actually hustled down the line like that?
Got hosed at first on a throw from Sheffield.
We'll yeah, let
Mo hit, right? So Jim Whitney is at 139 pitches. His max is
assuming the rest of the staff had food poisoning. So
I guess, right? Or he locks him somewhere. So 145 is his max. So if this is a long enough at bat for McGuire, we might actually see a different pitcher. But I don't know that they have anybody warming up. So it might be Jim Whitney's show regardless. So Big Mac, show us what you got. It's over.
Dang.
The final score from Rickwood Field, NL 6, AL 4. Jim Whitney is the winner.
Look at the difference in the
Ryan
box
picks up the
scores.
loss. Hank Aaron hit home.
They didn't even pinch hit anybody.
Time of the game.
They got nobody into the game. DJ LeMahieu got hurt and stayed in the game, in the All-Star game. We got everybody in except Martin Diego, and we got 8 of our 10 pitchers, I think. Or I think we had more, maybe 11 or 12. Everybody but Clemens. Oh, geez, we didn't get a Red Sox in at all. Clemens, Cy Young didn't get in. Ben Sheets didn't get in. And of them all, the only guy who had great stuff for us was Randy Johnson. We could have stuck with Randy with double stuff. We didn't do it. But Jim Whitney was just same old, standard Jim Whitney.
Check out that Rob's comment. That probably would have happened.
Right? So there will be the player of the game will be our MVP here.
Sounds.
Oh, it doesn't say who the MVP is. Interesting. I thought it would pick one. Well, I mean, Jim Whitney aside, it's got to be Hank Aaron. 2 for 4 with a grand slam and 5 RBI.
Blow.
So, yeah, Hank, no offense, Jim Whitney, but we will give the MVP to your teammate, the Hammer, Hank Aaron, for his first inning absolute gut shot.
Yeah, 5 RBIs.
That was all they had up until Nolan Ryan was dreadful. Apologies, Nolan. And Eck let us down in relief. So anyway, it is definitely the longest edition of the Eternal Baseball podcast. But look at the box score. There's a reason for that. So
Hey, we didn't swear, man. That's the important thing.
I think I said son of a at one point, but that's fine. I muttered it, so it doesn't really count. You can play back if you want. But hey, we had a competitive All-Star game. We saw a lot of cool matchups. And I
As Jim said, man, Trammell would have been it.
Right? I think this was a resounding success other than we didn't win. So we really enjoyed it. There is interleague play still going on in Eternal Baseball. I'm sure you know where to find us. We're everywhere at eternalbaseball.com, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are not hard to find. Almost all the feedback is always positive. Had an Oriole fan get a little loose this week. I said, who's next? Who's up next? Nate McCluth? Look, I'm sorry if you don't know your host, but although he did say, I've seen enough of Armando Benitez to fill me up. Thank you very much. I guess it's not my fault you don't have more relievers to go with Armando and Zach Britton and Darren O'Day and the boys. But regardless, we've really enjoyed the first half of the season. The second half should be even better with the stretch run, and I think the playoffs will be spectacular. So we
I
appreciate.
think we are going to swear in the playoffs.
Probably.
I have a
would
sense
imagine.
of we're gonna get one. We're gonna get a game-winning homer.
It's
It's gonna be F-bombs everywhere for me.
I think the cursing in the playoffs will be when we try to run it by Mrs. Weber and Mrs. Rotundi and say, "Hey, it's the World Series, right? Maybe we want to do all the games live. Might only be 4, right? It could be a sweep. We'd be done by Thursday, but
my marriage will be done by Tuesday.
right, right. Both of our locations would be drastically different by game 3, right?
I'll truly be in the bomb shelter. Right?
Right. I'm just outside with a harmonica
Yeah,
and a webcam.
it's me from the homeless shelter. Like,
right. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
I don't know. So Jem was saying real fast they used to do 2. Oh, I didn't know that.
I think that's right, actually. But we will do another one next season.
Head to head. We'll make it personal. We can just talk smack to each other like the old days. Yeah.
Maybe next year we can ask. What I think will be really interesting, because one of the things we like so much about the software is that every player's basic stat line is adjusted up to plus or minus 30% every year. So I'm really curious to see over time who are our all-stars that continue to repeat over and over, or where we're seeing some turnover, because all the players in the league are great. So, but it just so happens that there are some guys who are phenomenal, and some guys you can tell, like somebody squawked that Griffey Jr. didn't make the All-Star team. And I looked him up, and he's hitting like 280, 11 homers, 38 RBI. Not bad, but not even regular Griffey numbers. And so it's pretty obvious that he must be having a down year due to a modifier. And there's no way for anyone to see that number. It's not visible in the software, but it's random, and every player gets one. So it's pretty obvious Griffey's got some handcuffs on this year, and next year will almost assuredly be better for him. And for everybody, it's a little bit random. Joe Gordon is playing third base for the Yankees because A-Rod is having such a terrible year. So it's going to be fun, I think, to see the ins and outs of it, because these players don't age. So who is going to be a 4-time All-Star once we're 4 seasons in? I think that'll be fun to see. And that's something we'll track on the website too, and you can take a look. But feather in the cap, our very first All-Star MVP, Hank Aaron. So I think that's really cool, considering
that's pretty cool.
We lost Hank recently. So, and who doesn't love Hank Aaron? So congratulations, and we appreciate everybody coming along. Like, subscribe, follow us. It all helps, and we appreciate the banter that we get over in the side. It helps.
Yeah, that's always fun.
So that's it for this week. We'll be back with more Eternal Baseball next Sunday for the 15th edition of the Eternal Baseball Podcast.
Hey, thanks everybody. Enjoyed it.